Good afternoon and welcome to this session, an introduction to crowdfunding for Londoners. My name's Sammy Morger. I'm broadcasting live today from Crowdfunder HQ in Cornwall. Sorry that we're a few minutes late starting. We also have with us today, we're really lucky to be joined by Anna, who is our fund matchmaker, and also Ellie from the Bubble and Squeak project, who's going to be telling us a little bit about her experience with crowdfunding in just a few moments' time. So first of all, a bit of an introduction to ourselves. So we're the UK's biggest rewards-based crowdfunding platform. We've raised over £40 million for projects in the UK, and we have around about 150 to 200 new projects come on and start crowdfunding with us every day. So a bit of a range of the projects that we have. So it can be anything from someone who's trying to publish a book, trying to record an album, trying to raise money for a charity, or even open a new restaurant or a new community orchard. So the range of projects that we see on Crowdfunder is really, really broad, and we're always seeing new ideas come in that we've always seen for the first time. So I'm going to explain how crowdfunding works first of all, using a bit of an example. So this project is the Street Goat project. Now you can see on the side of your screen that we have Lynn and Rebecca there, and we have Billy the goat in the back of the van. So these two ladies in Bristol really like goats. They wanted to set up an urban goat farm in Bristol. So in order to get started, they raised some money through Crowdfunder. They set up a project, and within 4 weeks, they'd raised just under £10,000 to get the urban goat farm running. The kind of things that they were offering in return might be something like a tote bag, which you can see them screen printing there. There was opportunities to come to the farm and learn about agriculture and keeping animals. They also put on events, and you could even get some goat's cheese that you could redeem once the cheese had been made in a few months' time. And you can see there that they actually got lots of members from the local community involved as well, and they were successful in setting up that goat farm. So why do people crowdfund? And I think actually this is a really important question. It's something that we get asked quite a lot. The funding, of course, is one reason. That's the obvious bit, that's in the name, we know about that. But actually there's a lot of other reasons why people crowdfund as well, other than just to get funding. First of all, validation for your idea. So having other people say that, yes, I think that's a good idea too. I think this is something worthwhile. I think this is something that we need. So it's really great for you as a project owner to find out actually if anyone else is interested in what you're doing. But it's actually really good as well if you're looking at getting more funding in the future, maybe through grants or through the bank, that you have a successful crowdfunding in your back pocket. That's really great evidence for what you're doing as well. And of course, awareness. I think anyone who goes through the process of crowdfunding will tell you that you have to shout the loudest and proudest that you ever have done before when you're running this project. And it's because it's very focused and it's very concentrated on this very specific target and for this short amount of time. And there's lots of energy and enthusiasm around making this thing happen. So you'll find that people within your community, it's a great opportunity to really build that awareness about what you're doing. Advocates is something, again, which is quite unique to crowdfunding, is that those people who support your project by contributing some money towards it, they tend to be the people who tend to stay on for the long haul. So they end up coming back and volunteering, they end up being your customers in the future, they end up just getting involved with what you're doing as it evolves and as it continues. And a lot of that is because they feel very instrumental and very part of that journey in actually getting the thing set up in the first place. So they tend to be the people who every time they walk past your bakery will say, oh, I crowdfunded these guys, I was one of the people who helped to make it happen. Or every time they hear about your project, they want to drop in that actually they know you and they're part of it as well. And finally, the thing that's quite unique to Crowdfunder is the extra funding that we have available through a variety of partners, both local and national. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a couple of moments. So how does crowdfunding work? You have a really nice idea, which magically gets funded. That sometimes can be the perspective from an outside point of view. That's how it looks like crowdfunding happens. Now, those of us who work in crowdfunding or who have been involved with the crowdfunding project know that that's not necessarily the case. So how crowdfunding really works. So it's a little bit more to it than having a good idea and magically getting funded. So you create your unique project on the website that explains your idea. You set yourself a target, so how much money you need and how long you need to reach it. That can be anywhere from 2 weeks to 8 weeks. So we are talking about a short and sharp fundraising campaign here. You then spread the word to everyone that you know, essentially. And those people who like what you're doing, they can either just donate or they can pledge some money in return for a reward, which they'll get later on once your project has been successful. And you do have two choices on Crowdfunder when you're setting that target. So you can choose to be all or nothing, which means you have to raise the 100% of your total in order to draw down the money and go off and complete your project. Or you can be on keep what you raise, which is where regardless of how much has been pledged, you're going to walk away with the money either way. So you get to keep whatever has been raised. And at this point, people normally ask, why would anyone go for all or nothing? And actually, there's a really simple answer to that. It's because all or nothing is such a strong motivator, not only for yourselves as the people running the project, but also for your crowd, for the people that are going to be supporting it and contributing towards it, is that there's this sense of jeopardy that we have to raise this amount of money in order to make this thing happen. That's really strong and works really well. So this is what a project page looks like on Crowdfunder. So we get a bit of an idea of what we're talking about here. This is a project that's live at the moment. So you can see they've got a video at the top. You don't have to have a video, you can have an image instead. You can see there's some text beneath, which is where they explain what they're all about. You can see in that top right-hand corner, we can look at what percentage they are towards their target, how much they've raised and how many people have supported it. We can also see how many days are left. And that's where we can also press a button to make a contribution, to make a pledge. And you can see that there's a donation box down there as well. Lots of other things you can look at across the top there, things like comments or number of supporters, and the rewards run down the right-hand side of the page. You can just sort of see it says choose a reward there. So definitely jump onto the Crowdfunder website and have a look at some projects, just to give you a bit of a flavour as to what it's all about and what they look like. So today is very much an introductory session, but we do run a lot of webinars, and we also have a lot of guidance that's available, which we break down into these 3 key steps. So 1, planning. And that's all about getting your team together, making a plan, figuring out what you're doing. Next, creating your project, which is about making the actual page itself. And finally, running the project, which is where you're talking to people, getting the word out there, and hopefully collecting some pledges too. Fab. So we're going to come back to Ellie now and just talk about Bubble and Squeak just for a moment. So Ellie, can you tell us about what you set out to achieve with Crowdfunder?
Yeah, so we crowdfunded over the end of April, beginning of May, for initially 4,500 for a shipping container that we wanted to put in the school property to grow our surplus food project, so we could open it out to the public to have access to surplus food.
Fantastic. And you guys ran a really fab campaign. Did you come up against any challenges along the way?
Yeah, I think there was a few challenges on the different areas that you talked about, the 3 stages. So I guess for the challenges to start off with, when you're planning your project, you've got to really be confident in what you're doing and feel like you've got the support of your community around you. So the challenges in that is just having confidence in yourself and overcoming it by getting as many different people on board as possible in those early stages, and getting them on board with the idea. I guess other challenges is the logistics of actually getting us a good looking page together, which I think is really important, not only for the campaign, but it's a really useful reference point in the future for people to go to and see what you've done and how amazing it is. So things like that, getting a video together, we managed to find somebody to do it pro bono for us, which was great. But there's so many apps and things like that out there that you can still create a really good video that shows your project well. So there's always ways around it. Yeah, and then I guess for running the campaign, the challenges is keeping up the momentum, and be aware that the unexpected might happen. So we actually raised all our money in the first 2 weeks, which was kind of a funny situation for us. We were like, oh, right, okay, let's keep this going. We still got another 2 weeks. So always plan in. You don't know what's going to happen, and just be flexible with that. So yeah.
Fantastic. And actually your project page looks really good. There's so many great images on there, really great content. So if anyone's thinking what's a really good example of a project page, Bubble and Squeak is definitely one to have a look at. Those guys have really nailed it. So well done. So there's lots of advice available for people who are thinking about crowdfunding, and we've got lots of different ways that you can access it, so it's whatever works for you. We have 3 downloadable PDF guides, which you can find on our website, one for planning, creating and running your project. And I can promise you that they are not chock-a-block full of really dreary and boring text. They're actually really usable with really tangible advising, things like templates for network mapping, checklists, things that you can tick off, and grids that you can fill out. So please do download those. That's absolutely the best thing that you can do in order to get yourself set up and ready to crowdfund. We also do run these online workshops. We run them pretty often. This one, you can see there, is our Introduction to Crowdfunding for Londoners. And we've got lots of series that are running at the moment. One which you may be interested in is the Changemaker one, or also Crowdfunding for Youth projects. And of course, we run lots of regional ones as well, which you're more than welcome to join too. And you're not going to be on your own at any point when you're crowdfunding. We are going to stay in touch, keep an eye on what you're doing, and make sure that you have access to the most relevant and best advice right the way through. So don't worry if you're thinking, I've never done this before, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't feel confident, that we're absolutely here to guide you and to make sure that you have that confidence. And we do have one-to-one support. We have myself and my team in the office here. Here's a look at the rabble there at Crowdfunder HQ. So please do get in touch with us, and I'll give the email address at the end. If you have any questions or need a hand with anything, we are absolutely more than happy to help. So I'm now going to hand over to Anna, who is our fund matchmaker, really briefly, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about the funds available on Crowdfunder.
Thanks, Sammy. Hello, everyone. So I'm going to talk to you guys about extra funding available. Crowdfunder has partnered up with a lot of really great organisations and local authorities. And basically, these partners have money to give away to certain projects. We have many extra funding options available. So I'm just going to be talking about the London-based ones today. But if you want to have a look at the others, just go to the link above and you can see them all. So today we're starting off with the Improving Life for Londoners Fund. So this one is a bit more broad. It's for for projects all across London, and particularly ones that can improve the life of Londoners, can help tackle things like poverty, or can help communities come together. So if you think that your project does any of those things and it's based in London, you can definitely check it out and read a little bit more and apply for it if you think you're eligible. The next fund that we have is from Origin Housing. This one's also in London, but it's a little bit more specific. So it targets North London and Hertfordshire. And it is going to pledge 50% of the target up to £1,000. The previous one, I should have said, is willing to pledge 50% of the target up to £10,000. But with Origin Housing, they're looking for projects that can really help bring communities together, things around environment, food, gardening, or things that celebrate heritage as well. So they're two different funds, both in London. Origin Housing slightly more specific in its areas, but definitely worth checking out as well.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Anna. So, Ellie, you guys at Bubble and Squeak, you actually received some extra funding as well, didn't you? I think it was £2,250 as part of the Improving Life for Londoners Fund. So can you tell us a little bit about how that happened?
Yeah, so I'd heard about the match funding with Crowdfunder, and that's why we decided to go with you guys as a platform, because we thought it was a fantastic opportunity. So it was really simple. We launched the page, and once we'd launched the page, there was I think like a one-page application form that you filled in, and then you heard back pretty quickly if you were successful or not. It was really useful for us because being, you know, a startup sort of community project, things like grant applications are incredibly lengthy, and you don't know the success. So it was very exciting to have the match funding, which really helped to boost our target and really helped with the project's momentum. So yeah, it was great. We were so happy when we heard the news.
Amazing. Thanks so much. So if you are thinking about applying for your own project, the first thing that you need to do is to actually go onto Crowdfunder and to start your project on there. So click the Start Crowdfunding button. Once you've done that, you will see this little box pop up in your dashboard. It will say you can get extra funding for your idea, and there's this little handy button that says tell me more, and that will take you through to all the funds that you might be eligible for. Once you click that button, it will take you to whichever fund you might be eligible for. You can have a look at them. You can see the full eligibility criteria on that page, and you can also see the application form. I will mention that you can apply for more than one fund, and you can absolutely be approved and receive funding from more than one partner. So that's something to bear in mind if you think actually we might be eligible for a couple. So a quick recap on that criteria for the Improving Life for Londoners Fund of exactly what kinds of projects that we're looking for. But it's a really broad, really accessible fund, and that actually there's tons of projects doing great work in London. So we'd really love to support as many of them as we can. So I'm just going to finish up by coming back to you, Ellie, one more time. What advice would you give to anyone who's thinking about crowdfunding?
I guess the biggest advice is what I touched on earlier is just have confidence in what you're doing. If you've got this far to creating a project idea that's, you know, exciting and unique, and you've got people on board, that you really haven't got anything to lose, because if you have your local crowd supporting you already, it's very likely that they will pledge on your campaign. So you just got to think about it, about your own networks, what's already in existence, and you will be successful in crowdfunding. I guess that's my biggest advice, is approach it from what you know already. And if you don't know people around your local area, then that's, you know, a challenge for you to build those contacts and then launch a fantastic campaign with the support of people behind you. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think that's really great advice. It's a great opportunity or an excuse to actually build those connections locally. It gives you that motivation, that reason, which is absolutely going to benefit you as an organisation going forwards. So I hope that you have found this session useful today, and it gives you a bit of a flavour, bit of a taste as to what crowdfunding is all about, so that you're ready to embark upon your own journeys. So next steps from here. Absolutely, number one, download those PDF guides. They will be your guide right the way through from start to finish. Do go onto the Crowdfunder website and click Start Crowdfunding. It won't be live No one will be able to see it. It will be a draft project until you're ready to put it live. So you can just start working away on it and start having a look at what you need to do. And do make a plan, whether you prefer an Excel spreadsheet or whether to print off a little paper calendar and start working it out on there. Figure out when you want to go live and what you need to do before then, using the tools and the resources that we provide. It's the best thing to do is to make sure that you have that date in your mind and you can stick to it. So if you have any questions at all, you need a hand, you can get in touch with us. I promise we're lovely and friendly and we are real people. We're support@crowdfunder.co.uk. Pop us a message and someone from my team will be back in touch with you. So thanks so much for joining us today, and a huge thank you to Anna and also to Ellie. Best of luck with Bubble and Squeak. I'm sure it will go from strength to strength, and we look forward to potentially seeing you crowdfund again in the future.